So I wanted to tell you this morning about my oil filter neodymium magnet placed on the car. And this magnet here that I've got, this isn't actually a magnet. This is a plumbing fitting, and I've got this as a bonnet emblem on my car. It's not an expensive magnet, industrial magnet. I have got 3 of these at the moment in my stock, and I intend to put the 3 of them around the magnet, around the oil filter, sorry, so as I had devised, this being prototype 2, I had devised prototype 3 as a ring magnet. That's what it says up here. Prototype 3 as a ring magnet. Prototype 4, let's call it, is just utilizing those 3 magnets that I have in my house to go on the car soon. And as soon as I put a guard underneath so that nobody can take it. And prototype 4, as I said, is 3 of these, 50mm diameter, 35mm thick, N52 around the sides of the filter, and that's going to filter really well. And when I do that, I'm going to have to replace the oil filter, and the magnets are just incredibly strong. You could never pull. It's so incredibly hard to pull them off the sides of the oil filter or any metal. So when I do put them on as prototype number 4, 3 magnets on the sides of the oil filter, I will have to change the oil filter with 3 of those on first of all, in the first 500 Ks. The car's got about 150,000 Ks on it. If you had a car that had about, let's say it had 400 or 500,000 Ks on it, then with 3 magnets, you would have to change it within about 200 or 300 Ks. Most certainly within 500 Ks. The oil filters, I can't remember. This one here is about $19 or something. And just to kick things off, you could use a cheaper filter just to kick things off. And so if you're only putting the 50mm diameter by 35mm thick on the top of the oil filter, and let's face it, the oil filter is going to be facing down, so it'll be the bottom of the oil filter. If you're going to do that, then you would have to change it, my guess is around about 500 to 1,000 Ks. And then after putting a new one on at those kilometers, not changing your oil, just simply changing the filter, swapping the filter out, continuing with that same oil, you would have to change then your oil. I might do it twice in 1,000 Ks with 3 magnets on the side, because I want to get it clean. And of course, I'm going to cut open the first oil filter with a pair of tin snips, not with a grinder, with a pair of tin snips to see what it's accumulated in the oil, just to gauge my car. So as I said, this one that's a bonnet emblem on my car is simply a plumbing fitting. It's got a great big hole in the back of it, and that was just for ease of making that. So you don't really have to use glue, although I will use glue when I'm on the sides. It's just a dash of polymer glue to make sure that on the sides it doesn't come off. It's not as if the filter is going to be spinning for the ladies. This is a job that anybody, absolutely anybody can do. And I bet even the 12-year-old or 15-year-old son that you've got, daughter that you've got, we'll be able to put these on for you. Some oil filters are a cartridge style, like on a Mercedes or some of the Toyotas, and the housing is plastic, so you're going to have to glue those ones on, and they're over the back. They're over the back of the motor, so you would only use two on the sides, and make sure that they're not in opposing energies, which is like poles, say north to north or south to south, because they will repel off. You'll never get them on the plastic, and so they will pull on together through the plastic housing filter, and your little bit of polymer glue will glue them on real well. Give it 24 hours to dry before you go for a drive, and the magnetism of the N52 magnets, probably use square ones in that case, would do for your Mercedes or for your Toyota. And there's lots of other cars that use a plastic housing that screws off with something like a 56 millimeter, no, it's not that big. It's about 27 millimeter socket or something that screws that housing off with O-rings, plastic housing with O-rings. And of course, you're going to tear it off, the polymer glue, to get it off next time you want to change the filter. So there you go. That's great. I've got another one to tell you about this morning that came to me as a gift from Mr. Tesla, and I'm going to make this just one video, and I'll tell you what the next one is in another video. Hello again. I forgot to tell you that with this, let's call it prototype 4, with 3 or maybe 2 magnets on there. With 3 magnets, you could create an intense energy in the center. So I really do think that prototype 4 should be just 1 magnet on each side in opposing polarities, so that they create an attraction together onto the filter. And if you've got that plastic filter cartridge, it was something that came to me when talking about the plastic filters, and having a bit of a break there. Now, what I'm going to describe for you next is that with this system, with the magnets on there, you should be able to prolong just slightly further your oil change, because it's going to be so clean. And another way to do it is maybe in the future, with these magnets on, that you change just the filter at say 6,000 Ks, and change the actual oil and filter at 12,000 Ks. Now, what I'm going to tell you next is really important. It was actually my first discovery with the vehicle and the lubrication system. And with this next system and this system incorporated, I guarantee, well, I will be changing my oil about every 15,000 Ks. Now, hold on a second. Before you start saying something about just having a couple of magnets on and changing at 15,000 Ks, let me describe for you this first discovery that I made. I made this discovery, this next thing that I'm going to explain to you. I was in a wrecking yard out at Enoggera. They've closed down now, Pickering Street. Wonderful people they were. And on the bench, on the reception of the wrecking yard, I was about 18 years old. There was a machine that you wound around and around, and it was 3 or 4 cogs with a pool of oil in the bottom. And you noticed that these with one winder, 2 sets of cogs segregated in the middle of see-through perspex. You could see normal oil, your general oil in one side, and I think it had Castrol GDX, which was always been an exceptional oil, in one side. Castrol Edge nowadays has the reports of even being better than some of those super expensive ones. And so let me tell you that you wound this machine, and in the other side was a lubricant. I'm going to use that brand name. It was Morey's, and Morey's was on the market for a long time before the other lubricant, super lubricant came. They call it an upper cylinder lubricant, I think, and the Lucas brand was out after that. I've used Lucas as well. It's slightly cheaper. I've used Lucas from time to time when I was scrimping and saving, but let me tell you, even when I was broke, I did put the upper cylinder lubricant in either Morey's brand or in Lucas brand because it saved me money. And I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to crunch the numbers for you now. And I'm a bit rusty on crunching the numbers, so bear with me if I take a little while to get the numbers happening. I don't seem to be able to find my my usual chalk pen in the house. Oh well. So let me crunch the numbers for you here in person. For me, I've always bought Castrol GDX. GDX was in a 2050 viscosity. The higher the viscosity, the thicker the oil is. So nowadays, a lot of cars run a 0 or a 5W30 viscosity, which is a thinner oil. And with putting, I put a quarter of the sump, we call it, the content of the engine. They call it, the reference is the sump. I put a quarter of the sump, and some people some motors run dry sumps, I know. So I put a quarter of the sump into the engine. So your engine usually takes 4 or 5 litres for a little 4-cylinder. I've always driven 4 cylinders, and so you put a litre in and 3 or 3.5 litres of oil. Some cars run 5 litres nowadays in the sump. So let's say I was paying, anything will do to write on. Let's say that I was changing the oil filter as per the specifications, manufacturer specifications, every 10,000 Ks. Well, with the Morey's in, or Lucas, I would change the oil every 12,000 Ks. So what happens is, essentially, that instead of every 10,000 you change every 12,000, you get 6 oil changes for the price of 5. Now, you might say that the Morey's or Lucas costs a bit more than the actual 1 litre of Castrol GDX or Castrol Edge, but it's only about, I think I crunched the numbers, it was only about $4 difference. Those two products have actually gone up lately, so it might be around, let's say, $8 difference, and I'm not implying that it's doubled the price, I'm just saying that it's gone up a little bit more. Let's say it's $10 extra that you're spending on an oil change. Well, what happens is without any doubt, every time I ran Morris, I got 1 kilometre per litre better fuel economy. Now, in a 40 litre fuel tank, you're getting an extra 40 Ks. Now, if your car is getting 10 Ks to a litre, and sorry for being old school, it's easier to calculate for me, then you're getting an extra 40 Ks, which would be equivalent to 4 litres. 4 litres nowadays is definitely $9.20 or so. So in your first oil change, in your first tank of fuel at 440 kilometres, you've saved yourself $9.40 in the first run of a full tank of fuel. Okay, so 10,000 Ks divided by 400. I'm going to have to get the calculator out. Sorry for this. So 10,000 divided by 400 equals, and that's 10 Ks per litre, 25 tanks of fuel. Now, 10,000 Ks, and we'll just do it with a 10,000 K oil change, divided by 440 equals 22.7. So you're getting 2.3 tankfuls. So 2.3 times by 40 times by $2.30 equals $211, which pays for your next oil change. Now let's crunch the numbers on 12,000 Ks for each oil change due to the Morris. And let me tell you, every time that I've removed the oil after running Morris or Lucas, an upper cylinder lubricant, every time I've done it, the oil just still looks fantastic. But I've thrown it away every time. You could probably do 14,000, 15,000 Ks running an upper cylinder lubricant. Let's call it that. So let's crunch the numbers on 12,000 Ks. So 12,000 divided by 440 equals 27. Yeah, okay. 27. So 27 tankfuls of petrol. Hang on. Divided by 400. Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. Okay, 12,000 divided by, let's say we're not running an upper cylinder lubricant. In comparison, it's actually 30 tankfuls of petrol in 12,000 Ks, not running an upper cylinder lubricant. So let's crunch the numbers on running an upper cylinder lubricant, divided by 440. 440 equals 27. It's the same number of tankfuls, but you've gotten an extra 2,000 kilometers out of that oil. So, as I said, 6 oil changes for the price of 5. Now, what we're going to do next is, so it's the same thing again. It's the same. Oh man, I don't know whether it's old age or I need another parasite cleanse or it's onset dementia or what. So I crunched the numbers with the difference, and it was 221 Ks, 211 Ks saved with Morris at 10,000 oil change. So, okay. So divided by 440 equals that. So if I was saving $211 on 10,000 Ks, and I divide that by 5, times it by 6, we got $253 that you're going to save. Oh, whew, that you're going to save on 12,000 Ks running an upper cylinder lubricant. Can you see the numbers now? So as I said, it costs you an extra $10 to put an upper cylinder. And remember that you're going to have 1 litre left over in your 5 litre container because you put an upper cylinder lubricant in there instead. Morey's or Lucas is the only one available on the market at the moment. Now, there is another product which I did get some incredible results with. So another chap, mechanical chap, engineer fellow, told me that I think it's called MO8 or something like that, will help into the engine to get you really good fuel economy as well. Now, what I want to show you is that with the magnets, 2 magnets on the sides of the magnet, we'll call that prototype number 4. With 2 magnets on there, running the Moreys, you're absolutely positively going to be at 15,000 K changes. I'm going to, because I'm telling you, at 12,000 Ks, that oil was extremely slippery on my hands. More slippery, even a greater lubricant between your fingers than just brand new oil after 12,000 Ks. So 15,000 Ks will not be a problem. So the other thing is that if you've got a really, really old vehicle, say 5 or 800,000 Ks, and I've seen that on vehicles, just normal conventional vehicles, then I recommend 2 bottles of the upper cylinder lubricant. And also it says on the bottles of Morey's, I'm sure it says the same thing on Lucas, that it does not change viscosity. Now, I haven't made a comparison. I will do that the next time I remove the oil after running 12,000 Ks. I'm probably close to that now, and compare brand new straight oil with old oil and upper cylinder lubricant after a change to see if the viscosity is different. Or maybe after I put some upper cylinder lubricant in a change, maybe when I change that oil filter after running the NEODYMIUM magnets, maybe I'll compare the oil viscosity then to just simply straight new oil. But I have in the past had cars. It was an old Nissan or a Mitsubishi or something like that. I can't remember. It was an old car that had a bad big end, and I ran 5 litres of Morey's as an experiment, and man, it ran like a train, and it was as quiet as a mouse. Now, to also tell you, let me tell you about a Mitsubishi truck that I had. Really a terrific model of Mitsubishi of truck. It was, I think, around about a 7-ton, 8 ton. I think it was 8.5 ton truck. And what happened was, when I first bought the truck, like a lot of trucks, they have high mileage on them. It was extremely noisy on the highway, and we were having to yell at each other. 2.7 litre 4-cylinder truck motor, which makes hold out for this story because I really think that if you're driving some sort of 4-wheel drive or something, these trucks are available in 4-wheel drive. You really should get your butt into one of these with this system that I'm about to tell you about. I think I talked on a YouTube video about choking and the turbo pipes and stuff like that. So this is what I did with the truck. It was extremely noisy. Differential had a reconditioned gearbox in it. The engine was fairly quiet, but the differential had done some work. And so what happened was, I also did an accurate fuel economy test by filling the petrol up, the tank up, all the way to the actual spout, so that you could see the petrol. That's how you do a really accurate economy test, and go for your drive 1,000 k's or 500 k's or whatever you do, and then fill it back again till you see that petrol there at the spout, at the same Bowser both times, of course. So the truck, it was noisy. It was getting 5.5 k's to a litre, and I said to myself, my God, I'm going to have to sell this truck right away. But I was taking the truck and a mobile home up to my father's property, so that I could ask him to do some renovations on the mobile home and look after him. He was I can say it now because he's passed over in November, just gone. It's April now, 2026, and wasn't the type of chap that you could say to him, let me come up and stay and and give you some care. Not only does it put somebody into shock, but he was just old school. So he was a rugged old chap, and a man with honour and integrity as well, I'll say. So what happened was, I took the mobile home and the truck up to his property, asking him prior if I could do some work on it. I should only be a month or so, and spent some time with him in the last couple of years that he was around. So 5.5 k's, I was going to prepare the mobile home for a trip after doing that, and never really had a holiday in my life. I went on a cruise once for 4 days and 3 nights, but anyhow, less of the personal, and let's get back into the mechanical. So 5.5 k's to a litre, I said to myself, and it's extremely noisy, with the windows up, and worse economy with the air conditioning running, of course. 5.5 k's at the minimum, and so what I did was, I came up with the idea, with inspiration, of course, to drop the diff oil and run 100% Morris, and then also drop the gearbox oil and run 100% Morris, and then a quarter in the engine. It had an 8-litre sump, so I ran, I think I ran 2 litres of Morris or Lucas, and I did put some of the ML8 in there as well. The fuel economy went up to, straight away went up to around about 8.2 kilometres per litre, let's say 3 kilometres more. And when we crunch the numbers on a 100-litre tank, you're getting an extra, so let's crunch the numbers on a 100-litre tank. So you're getting an extra 300 k's out of a 100-litre tank. So instead of getting 550, I was getting 820. Terrific savings with diesel, crunch the numbers. I've given this idea to a couple of factories, especially a chap out at Morningside and Virginia, etc., that deal in deliveries of steel and stuff. They had quite a few trucks in their fleet, and they were appreciative in a direct way to say thank you. So the numbers, the dollars that they're saving is just phenomenal. They'll be paying for their truck, a new truck every year, I'm telling you, on 10 trucks or 12 trucks or whatever it was, 15 trucks I think they had. So it goes like this. what happened was 8.2 kilometers per litre. Then I came up with the idea of buying the absolute biggest brand new intercooler that I could possibly find, not buying one from the wreckers. And if I had bought one from the wreckers, I would have had to clean the inside with some aluminium oxide cleaner or something to get all the dust. And so aluminium oxide can create a cavitation in the intercooler, etc. And it would improve cooling. But so if you put an astronomically huge, say, interstate truck intercooler second hand on your little truck, 8-ton, then that would still work. You would still get the flow regardless of the oxidization and cavitation happening within, and oxidization increasing the surface area might actually help to cool the air as well. So you're going to say, how can I fit an intercooler that's half the size of this TV onto the front of a small 8-ton truck? Well, if you've got a tray, you put it up underneath the tray. Now, it's not such a ridiculous idea, because straight from the tray goes straight into the intake of the turbo, and you can put the other side of the intercooler and use some plumbing piping or whatever and a bit of rubber pipe to join it, all in double size, of course, into your air filter, and buy the biggest air filter you can buy second hand, an interstate truck air filter. If you get it chromed and stuff, you got a small truck, get it chromed and stuff, it'll look great. Or paint it with a fancy thing, paint it in the style of a rubbish bin or anything like that that's arty, and make it look like it's got a stack that points into the wind. Bolt that on the back of your cabin. That's where I was going with my truck. So what happened was I devised an intercooler, a super intercooler. And I got the idea of just watching that ice road truckers on TV for only a few minutes. I thought to myself, those guys are sucking in air at minus 60, minus 40 or minus 20 degrees. Then what would happen if a part of my air intake on the truck was, say, a 6-inch pipe, forget the aluminium intercooler, and I just ran a 6-inch pipe back and forth under the big tray, or on the top of a Pantec, and I ran a 1/4-inch refrigeration coil, copper coil inside, and ran a 12-volt solar panel ran freezer unit, which made that refrigerant extremely icy cold. You're going to be sucking in air at a minimum of around, say, minus 5 or minus 20 degrees, in comparison to an intercooler, just a straight intercooler that might be, I'm sure the guys could tell me, crunch the numbers, at 12 degrees or 15 degrees positive into the intake. So another way is that I did on the truck, and this is what I'm about to explain, is all I did on the truck. I increased the size of the turbo piping, bought from the local auto store, and I increased the size of the intercooler. I bought that online from an auto supply, and I measured to make it absolutely extremely as large as I could possibly make it in the chassis to chassis under the truck. So what happened there was also I ran a irrigation mist sprayer at the front, and it's something that they do a lot in that sideways type stuff, whatever they do. Burning rubber, which causes cyanide gas. Cyanide gas is what they used in Auschwitz to gas the poor prisoners. Anyway, let's not get carried away with the politics of it. You're burning cyanide gas when you do a burnout, and as far as I'm concerned, I never ever did burnouts. And when you see them at the burnout competitions, all those spectators, I'm wondering when a spectator is going to drop over dead, you know. So when I ran larger turbo piping, when I ran a larger intercooler brand new, because I had to, in comparison, get as small as possible, etc., for that size truck for the space. And I was going to then run an interstate second-hand one up under the tray that was absolutely massive, the size of the TV, which would have been good, and a helicopter of 4 fans. So I ran larger turbo piping. I ran a new large intercooler, and I ran misting sprayer, and it was hard to find the mistiest misty sprayer you could possibly buy. And you had to run a filter, a really good filter, down to 0.01 microns for the water that went to that misting sprayer, because they would get clogged very easily. And I ran a 25 litre water container in the truck, and I would get about an hour and a half's drive out of that. So the ultimate way to go, with that very same system, and I ran a mister on the remote air conditioning condenser that a lot of vehicles have nowadays. So that was on the Mitsubishi truck. I ran a misting sprayer, and the cabin of the truck started to frost up with the same setting, and so I was able to reduce the setting, of course. So what happened was I then got 10.2. That's 2 Ks better fuel economy. That's an extra 200 Ks out of that. So I was eventually getting, instead of 550 Ks per 100 litre tank, I was getting, and I'm so lucky it was a 100 litre tank, that it would have really confused me driving down the road. But I could crunch all these numbers with a 100 litre tank driving down the road, and I would fill it right up to the spout and top it up back up to the spout to do an accurate fill. The old school truck that I had, you could have used a stick as a dipstick to gauge the fuel. So 10.2 Ks, and without the sprayer, without the mister, I think I was getting 9.5, 9.8, and on a rainy day, I didn't need the mister, and I'd get 10.2. And I'm sure the people that crunch the numbers on their trucks are fully aware that on a rainy day or a rainy week, I had a rainy 3 days that I drove the truck and found it getting 10.2. So that indicator style of thing, I estimate that the whole setup might cost $1,000, and maybe, just maybe, you could run a box with dry ice. Some of them in the drag cars use a dry ice box, 6-pack box sitting next to them, and somehow utilize that so without running the dry ice system, you could run a refrigeration gas system through a 6-inch intake pipe. It wouldn't be called your intake pipe. It would be a 6-inch intercooler pipe, PVC pipe, and some foam around the outside of that as well, of course, to keep things nice and cool. And I never ever did it, but I'm certain that you would be getting on that truck of mine. I probably would have reached 14 or 15 Ks per litre with a few more modifications and etc. The other modification that I was going to do was a air conditioning to pull apart one of those mobile air conditioners and put the compressor in the metal box, the condenser underneath the truck, just like some air conditioners are, and on the back of the cabin with flexible hoses, because they used to run car air conditioning in flexible hoses and just simple hose clamps that did the trick. The Mazda 626 was a model that I had that had that same flexible hose air conditioning pipes, and it never ever leaked. The air conditioning worked fine. That's the manufacturer's thing. And you could use better clamps than what they had, that's for sure. The new clamps they have nowadays in the hardware stores, stainless steel in the plumber section, are absolutely phenomenal. You could absolutely positively run those flexible hoses for air conditioning. They were just reinforced canvas hoses from what I remember. Maybe they had a different inner lining, I'm not sure, but the refrigeration guys could probably tell you more about that, or you could Google it, I'm sure, or you could go and buy a air conditioning pipe from Mazda for their 626. I think it was about a 1979 or 1981 model or something like that. And so compressor in the toolbox, cordoned off so that you can spray it. It's only a 12-volt compressor, so that you can spray it with some water and get some coolant happening there on the compressor. The condenser underneath with another irrigation nozzle on it, and thermo fan, all in 12 volt. And in the cabin, I was going to trick up a part of that mobile air conditioner to electrically, with a solar panel on top of the truck, to electrically run air conditioning and remove the compressor from off a V-belt on the motor. It would have been great. That's what I'm talking about, 15 k's per litre. Let's face it, petrol prices and etc., it's going to pay for itself. And as well as that, you've got a great, it was a Mitsubishi Canter Fuso 2.7 litre turbo, and a truck motor. Get it reconditioned. The truck motor is going to last. They're well known to last 1 million, 2 million k's, truck motors. So there's your difference between, say, a 2.7 litre turbo in another type of vehicle. And you can buy that Mitsubishi Canter Fuso turbo in a four-wheel drive. And simply by disconnecting the front diff or whatever through a joey box, etc., you can still maintain that 15 k's per litre around town with some great suspension clearance as a standard vehicle. 2 sets of tyres, 6 tyres, 1 set of road tyres, and another set of off-road tyres. You put the off-road tyres on, of course, before you head up the Territory or the Cape or wherever it is here in Australia that you're going. Or, of course, Tasmania. I'd love to see Tasmania, and I'm sure I will one day. Anyhow, I think I've given you enough. We'll tag this onto the other video, and there's your heads up. There's going to be lots and lots of other things we can do. Maybe we can modify the windscreen wipers to less drag. I'm only kidding, of course. And so there it is for you. Tyres, of course, would make a difference. If you're running not a great deal of weight around town in a Mitsubishi Canter Fuso four-wheel drive or conventional truck, turbo 2.7, or even in a four-wheel drive, you should be running thinner tyres, especially on the Mitsubishi Canter, especially on a truck with dual tyres, dual wheels at the back, because you've got the grip with 2 sets of tyres, and it's gonna make a heck of a difference. So maybe that's that 15 k's per litre that I'm talking about, and of course less when you're off road. Anyhow, there'll be some more things that I come up with. I've got to get some renovations done. I've got the work clobber on today, and going to get in and do a few things in the back of the house, and head up the road. Have a great week. It's Friday, folks. I think it's what day of the month is it? It's Friday the 17th. I was going to say the 18th. So the 18th tomorrow, Saturday, must be 2026. It must be going to be a good day. I feel great about it. Every day is good, folks. Every day is good. And remember, that's only a frame of mind. And with planetary energy, etc., you're going to have biorhythms and lows, etc. And that's just life. Life can't be just straight across, and it would be dull and boring. You've got to have those ups and downs. We like to keep them more a great deal smoother. But if you're living a life of a roller coaster, well, you better be eating the right nutrition, because you're spending emotion. And what is emotion? It is energy in motion. You've got to have that energy before you can spend the motion. Energy in motion, emotion. Thank you again to the Professor, Michelle Blondell, for that heads up. What a great teaching, and just a little 30-second meme in the classroom. There is something else that I got to tell you. It's to do with Tesla, and hopefully I'll think of what it is that he taught me this morning before I get into the renovations. This is my book. If you haven't seen it before, I'm sorry if I'm badgering you with it. It's called The Holy Grail of Science. You can switch it off now. I'm only going to talk about the book if you have seen this. And on the front of the book, Tesla had that machine that could create or generate electricity, the tower thing. And what happened was, on these days when we were orbiting through the lines, it generated static electricity. And it never eventuated to anything greater than that. In the Tesla tower, I know it eventuated to other things, but in the Tesla tower, it had never eventuated to anything greater than that, other than creating that incredible static electricity which he stood amongst. You can't imagine that standing amongst fire electricity like that in his video. I'm not knocking the guy. He was mind-blowingly incredible, and still is, as a guiding spirit. But it was static. You can't stand amongst electricity like that without getting hurt. Ask some of the people that have been injured in substations. I don't know how those people feel. There's not a great deal of them, but one particular chap that nearly became a family member was carrying an old wooden ladder, and in the old days, how ridiculous, they had a wire reinforcement up the side of them. The timber ladders then went to a fiberglass reinforcement, and he had it on his shoulders. Blew his fingers and toes off, and an arc across his chest, in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Just phenomenal. I don't know how he felt if he ever came across Tesla's tower. It would have been a horrible reminder. So, hey, maybe that was Tesla in this life. I shouldn't joke about it, should I? And I wasn't joking about it. I was serious. He could have been Tesla in this life. We've got no evidence of it that he wasn't. Boy, got myself out of that one. Anyhow, before I make any more mistakes in what I say, I have got autism or something like that. Asperger's, they call it autism. Some of the good folk that have, I'm not going to use the word suffer. You're the ones that suffer with my autism. Some good folk who had Asperger's, autism, say it's now rated as autism 1, 2, and 3. Anyhow, one day I'll get diagnosed when somebody will take me in to be diagnosed, when they will accept one of my emails, one of the many people I've applied to be diagnosed for. And anyway, so I'll try and come up with that Tesla thing in a moment. I've gone a few minutes of Pulp Fiction dribble this morning on this one, and I'll try and remember what that Tesla thing is, and I'll be right back in another video. Have a great day, folks. NEODYMIUM. NEODYMIUM magnet.